The palace of Agrabah shimmered under the desert sun, its golden domes glistening like a promise of eternity. Yet, behind those walls of wealth and wonder, Princess Jasmine felt caged. The silks on her shoulders were heavy, not because of their weight, but because of the expectations they carried. Every step she took was guided by rules she never wrote, every smile rehearsed for an audience she never chose. Aladdin, on the other hand, roamed the streets of Agrabah with no silks, no walls, and no rules, yet he, too, was not free. Hunger stalked him like a shadow, shame clung to him when people turned their eyes away, and dreams always felt like stolen treasures he could never keep. He had seen the palace from afar 1,000 times, glowing like the life he was told he did not deserve. Both longed for freedom. Both longed for something more. Neither knew that fate was already weaving their paths together. The first spark. When Jasmine first escaped the palace disguised as a commoner, she felt the sting of the marketplace air, dusty, chaotic, alive. For the first time, no one bowed, no one whispered her name with expectation. But when she reached for a piece of bread without money to pay, the sharp sting of reality met her freedom. That was when Aladdin appeared. Not as a hero, but as a boy with tired eyes and quick wit. He distracted the merchant, pulled her to safety, and in a quiet alley, handed her the bread with a grin that carried no judgment. In that single act, Jasmine felt something she had never known before, to be seen not as a princess, but as a person. And for Aladdin, her gratitude was not like the hollow thanks of strangers he helped, it was genuine, warm, and haunting. But the guards were never far, and when they recognized Aladdin, the chase began. Jasmine's heart pounded not for herself, but for him. When he was captured, she realized her disguise could only protect her so far. She returned to the palace, helpless, her mind replaying his face as chains closed around his wrists. The wounds of deception. The lamp, the genie, the wish, it all unfolded like a dream Aladdin never dared to dream. Suddenly, he was no longer the boy scraping by on rooftops. He was Prince Ali, clothed in riches, standing before Jasmine not as the thief she once met, but as someone worthy of her world. Yet worthiness came at a cost. Every word he spoke was laced with fear that she would see through him. Every smile hid the question, would she love me if she knew the truth? Jasmine, dazzled by Prince Ali's grandeur, felt something uneasy stirring in her heart. His gestures were too polished, his charm rehearsed. Where was the boy who gave her bread with dust on his hands and laughter in his eyes? Where was the freedom she felt in his presence? And when she pressed him, his answers danced around truth like shadows avoiding light. She did not know why her heart whispered that Prince Ali was hiding something, but she trusted that instinct. The enemy within. Jaffar's schemes threatened Agrabah as much as ever, but the greater battle was within Aladdin himself. Every time he looked at Jasmine, he felt the weight of his lie. The genie, ever loyal, reminded him that happiness built on deceit could never last. But Aladdin was terrified. He believed he was still that boy from the streets, unworthy of her love without the illusion of power. He clung to the lie, telling himself it was for her sake, that without the disguise of a prince, he could never save her from the fate her father demanded. Jasmine's struggle was different. She was torn between duty and desire. Her father, the Sultan, adored Prince Ali, seeing him as the perfect match. But her heart was restless. She wanted honesty, not perfection. She wanted love, not another golden cage. And the more she sensed Aladdin hiding something, the more it hurt. The breaking point. The truth, as it always does, clawed its way out. When Aladdin's disguise faltered and Jasmine learned he was the boy from the marketplace, her heart shattered, not because he was poor, but because he did not trust her with the truth. "You think I wouldn't have chosen you," she whispered, tears burning her eyes. "You think I only see worth in a crown?" Her words cut deeper than any sword. Aladdin's silence was worse than denial, it was admission. And for Jasmine, betrayal was heavier than any cage her father had ever built. Yet, in the silence that followed, she realized something just as painful, she still loved him. The twist of fate. While their hearts wrestled with pain, Jafar seized his moment. With the lamp in his hands, he remade Agrabah in his image, twisting the palace into a fortress of fear, enslaving the Sultan, and tearing the city apart. Aladdin, stripped of everything, knew this was the moment that would define him. Not as a prince, not as a thief, but as himself. He had no crown, no riches, no disguise, only his courage. Jasmine, too, faced her own trial. Jafar demanded she bow, promising power if she became his queen. For a moment, she faltered, not in desire, but in fear. She wondered if her strength was enough without someone by her side. It was in that moment, when all seemed lost, that Aladdin returned. Not Prince Ali. Not the polished mask. Just the boy from the marketplace who had once given her bread and laughter when she needed it most. The final battle. The struggle against Jafar was not only a fight of power, but of will. The genie, bound by Jafar's command, could only watch with sorrow. But Aladdin's greatest weapon was not strength, it was his mind. He tricked Jafar into wishing for ultimate power, binding him not as a ruler, but as a prisoner of his own greed. The lamp swallowed him whole, and silence fell over the ruined palace. But victory did not erase the wounds. When the dust settled, Aladdin looked at Jasmine with eyes heavy with shame. "I wanted to be enough for you," he confessed, voice breaking. Jasmine stepped closer, her tears softening into something else. "You always were. You just couldn't see it." Conclusion: love beyond illusion. The Sultan, moved by their courage, declared that Jasmine would be free to choose her own future. But even with freedom, the choice was not simple. Jasmine's heart was torn between love and trust, between forgiveness and fear. Aladdin, humbled, chose differently this time. He released the genie, keeping no power for himself. He stood before Jasmine as nothing more than who he was. And Jasmine, after all the lies, saw the truth clearer than ever, that freedom was not in crowns or disguises, but in love built on honesty. She reached for his hand, not as a princess choosing a prince, but as a woman choosing a man. Their story did not end with perfection. It began with scars, doubts, and lessons carved into their hearts. But it was real, and that was more powerful than any magic. As the palace returned to light and Agrabah breathed again, Jasmine whispered to Aladdin, "Our story isn't about wishes. It's about us." And somewhere far away, the genie laughed in freedom, knowing that the truest magic had never been in the lamp at all.